drive strength. Is it drive or dive? It's dive. Drive.
I thought it was drive.
Drive strength. John, what would you recommend for a hardy, easy to maintain plant shrub bush to plant in front of the windows for security standoff? Seeing more and more window break-ins in crime on the Ring camera reports. I've got some man-made items that I have ready to put in front, but would like some natural foliage as well. Northern climate, if you know, as well as Tennessee. So
I'd put something with thorns.
My first, yeah, holly or roses.
That's what I was going to say. Is
holly, roses. You have a lot of other things, but those will poke the shit out of you. Now, are you planning on letting them come up to the level of the window, or are we growing past the window? Osage orange, black locust has huge thorns. Nobody's coming through that shit. Can we cover the window? Do your CCNRs or your HOA dictate how that works? Put fucking bars on the window. Like, just fucking put bars on the window. You can't put bars on the window. 3M makes a product that you put on like a window tinting that will actually stop 357 Magnum rounds out of a pistol. It takes a serious amount of effort to bust the window out with a baseball bat. So look at 3M products. There is a lot of security products you can even buy off of Amazon and Home Depot. But nothing beats bars. James had the welding shop across the street weld bars up for the old building. They're still on the building now. It takes effort, and it will definitely take noise to get through those bars. Now, those would also keep you inside. So your point of egress for fire, that needs to be a consideration. But holly, rose bushes, preferably maybe something evergreen. I think holly is evergreen, yes. So it's going to hold those spiky leaves. You have a lot of options. Anybody else has any answers to this? Chime in. I'm limited on what I've got.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this guy, and I can't remember his name. That sucks because he was a cool guy. Really big guy out of Memphis who owns a gun shop. Does that ring a bell to you guys?
We know a couple of those guys.
Okay, well, this dude, I took a class with him last year, and we were talking about that 3M stuff, and he said it's so good the fire department couldn't break down the window to get into his shop. Yeah. Like, they needed to get in, they couldn't get in.
Is this dude super into the Confederate War? Is he like a historian?
No, he's probably, I mean, when you say historian, I think an old guy. This guy's probably 40.
Like dug up Nathan Bedford's fucking grave and just relocated his body. Like that much into the Civil War.
I don't remember that part, but he was a really cool guy, and it was before we bought our house here, and he was advocating outside of Memphis. Like, if you just leave Memphis.
Banging going on?
There's something going on at the gas station. Sounds
no, it's at the metal building next to the gas station.
Oh,
that's fine. He owns it. He can build. He can do whatever he wants.
But yeah, like that dude. I don't remember his name. I'll try to find it. But super cool guy, and he said the 3M shit is perfect because you can't tell that it's there.
You can't at all.
Yeah, but unless I think you can get like a smoked version.
Yeah.
But you can't break through it. I mean, you can, but
they make a clear vinyl wrap. 3M does. It goes over, like, they put them on exotics all the time, and you can't chip it. Like, you can't ding it. You get no road shit. So when you turn the car back in, sell it, or you turn the lease in,
you just take it off.
It comes off. Yeah, they actually leave it on, most of them. Vince Vega, how is the new puppy coming along? Haven't seen her in any of the videos lately. What are you doing as far as training? So we don't really do shit for training. These dogs are super smart. The other dogs kind of train them. I used to open the gate to drive the four-wheeler through, and she would come out all excited. Now she waits right there. She did really well, even with a lot of people here last weekend before. We had 500 some people on the property. She did great. Never came out when the gates were open, sat there. Does really well. The videos you are currently seeing on the compound videos, we're running about 4 months behind right now, and the dog is not even probably 6 months old yet.
I don't think so.
So you're starting to kind of see her, and I've been really lagging on posting on social media. I don't know where you're at on social media. She's big. They go through growth spurts where they get tall, and it'll look like you'll kind of see ribs, and they just get tall, and then they kind of put on weight. So she'll look good, and then you're like, oh, the dog looks skinny. It's because she's growing. We feed her a lot. She's still on some kibble. Anytime she has kibble, I've got a dozen eggs over the kibble. She's eating whole small rabbits now at this point. And they still get scraps, any old meat that comes out of the refrigerator, anything left over from a couple days earlier. I divide that up and give those to the dogs also. She's doing great. She's doing exactly what she needs to. She's got a big bark coming on, and she alerts, like, you know when something's going on. Then when she's barking out front, like, she's starting to sound like Magnus. Her and Magnus are doing well together. We had them in kennels right next to each other. She's not really killed much that she shouldn't. She's definitely gotten a hold of a couple of chickens here and there. And I think it was probably her. We had some rabbits show up. We had some rabbits loose, which are still loose. And they had babies. There is no babies out there to be found. And I think she ate them all.
So when she was 3 months old, I took her to the vet for her 3-month-old shots. And she was 50 pounds then. And that was 3 months ago, so I can only imagine what she is now.
So
big.
I had mice yesterday. If you look on Instagram stories, I put up some pictures. I've got these old antique mason jar lids that go on that the mice can go in, but they can't come back out. So I've been catching about 20 mice every day and giving them to the chickens. Well, one got out, one the chickens didn't get, and it ran out of the chicken pen. And Harris, like stomping on it, trying to get a hold of this mouse. And for 15, 20 minutes, I don't think she ever got the mouse. It got under some railroad ties. But she was definitely on that mouse.
She was going to eat it.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that it's crazy that she's got to be close to 100 pounds. And she looks like she's not grown into her body yet. She looks
hasn't.
Like a baby.
He still hasn't grown into his body yet.
You know, like an awkward teenager is what she looks like.
Well, like, he's not even 2 yet.
When he gets excited, it's like he's on roller skates.
And when he wags his tail, like when he's really excited, his whole body moves.
So he'll pick up. I was filming this morning. I filmed some just out on the property, and he picked up a stick that I don't know where it came. He has a stick. And he picked it up, and I said, you got to be really careful with this. He's super excited, and he will fucking hit you with this stick and literally knock the legs out from under you. He'll hurt you.
He likes to try to jump on my back.
Oh, really?
And he's so big, his paws hit the top of my head.
Yeah.
Well, his paws, he can stand at the top of that 6-foot chain link and look over it. His whole head will be on the other side of it.
That would be scary if I was your height and that dog tried to jump me from behind.
So, because I was the one who like raised him for like the first 6 months, he's super protective of me. But he wants to lean on me, and so I have to like push him away, you know. And every once in a while he'll do something, and all I have to do is yell at him, and he'll stop.
I'll smack him on his nose if it ever happens. If like he's out of control, I'll just smack him on his nose, and that'll stop all of it.
I mean, he's a good boy.
Yeah.
But he's just big.
He let Xena come up. Like, he didn't try to eat Xena. Like,
no,
I had him in the kennel,
me.
and she was able to pet him. And,
that's cool.
Yeah, he remembered Xena.
Yeah.
Because she, like, when we brought him home, she was here for weeks, you know?
Yeah.
She would take him out every morning out of the kennel.
Oh, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
then.
she was staying here for a while.
Yeah.
She'd come down and do videos. Naturalist Farmstead. How have you guys altered your sheep pen system since getting the sheep and having them get out right away? So the thing is that it sits about 6 inches up because we use really big casters. And we have 6 of them so that it'll kind of pivot so we can roll over things. And they got out because we had little lambs and they were able to just get out. So we put more of the wiring down. We use more cattle panels. So it's actually down almost to the ground. In tall grass, it's difficult to drag it. 2 people can definitely push it. 3 can move it, no problem. I use, I think I took 20 feet of tubular nylon, tied it in half so it's just a big loop, and I take that and I girth hitch it around the corner, which is the strongest, you know, one of the corners, and then put it on the hitch on the 4-wheeler and just slowly drag it, and it drags no problem. We just had 70 people up on the hill walk past, and they all spazzed out. And there's always been one panel that when I was moving it, the panel had come off, and it was just kind of hanging there. Well, there's this one, it's always one. It's the same female, and she is out all the time. She'll get out and then stand right by the kennel. You'll see she was there all night because the shit's right on the outside of the kennel. You move it, she stays right to the outside of the kennel. And then at night you'll go up there, and sometimes she's even back inside sleeping with the other 3 sheep. But she always gets out. Well, the others, she is the problem child. Greg Judy will tell you, when you have a sheep get out, you put it back in the kennel. When it's out the second time, you shoot that sheep because it'll teach the other one. And that's exactly what it. Anyway, she got out, and the other one spazzed out, and they're out, and they have been out. They've not been in the kennel for 2 weeks, in the pen for 2 weeks now. We just need to bring it back and put it out back. I mowed, since a bunch of people were going to be here, I mowed the grass down to 6 inches, and it fried it. It was warm. We just got rain for the first time yesterday, so some of it might come back, but I don't have enough feed out front. They've eaten everything tall that's out there. So we're actually bringing in some round bales to go through the winter. We'll feed them through the winter, and we're going to seed some different types of grasses that we actually want here. The system works great. We put those extra panels on to lower it. Basically, we just took cattle panel and cut them so that we had spikes hanging up, and Neil bent those so it just kind of hangs on the other cattle panel, and we just zip tied it in place. And in dragging it through tall grass, we just broke some zip ties. I just literally need to just put zip ties back on. I don't think that I would change anything about that system at all. I think it works great. It's as heavy as it has to be, but it's light enough that I can push it by myself if I have to. And if I can't push it, I can always just get to the other side and tug it if I need to.
Have you had any problems with the height? Because when I saw them jumping, that was my first thought, is that thing isn't tall enough.
So that's what I thought too, and they did not jump out. We did not have any problems with them jumping out. They're crawling under.
Yeah, well, I knew that, but I was wondering if they ever decided to go for it.
Because I mean, if they could jump out of that, they could jump out of the whole fucking out of the whole 3 acres up there. I think that to add to that, I think I would build one half the size, so that we could rotationally graze or move easier, maybe even a little skinnier, because that one is 10 by 20, and we set the swales and we're building everything so that as the grass comes up, we can use that grass to feed the animals, so we can drag that tractor through there. But it would be easier to move half of a tractor with 2 sheep and another half a tractor with 2 sheep. And this is built where it will unbolt in the middle, so we could actually put a wall there and move it as 2, just for moving through skinnier areas, right? So that you can utilize that feed capability. John,
you're here.
Tyler Mallory, what up?
I think it's Mallory.
It's Mallory today. You're Irish. Do you think we will see next generation weapons? I think you're already seeing them. I think you're already seeing them. I think you saw one hit. Hit the AT&T building in Nashville. Rods of God, direct energy weapons. I think that you saw direct energy weapons used like in some of the fires in California. If you look from an aerial view, everything's there. The trees are all still there. The only thing burnt to the ground are the houses. I think that those were targeted weapon systems. And if so, how do you think the common man will be able to adapt to defend themselves against it? Let me just say, Afghanistan. As advanced as Russia was, they still fucking killed all those fucking Russians. As advanced as the United States was, as soon as the air superiority stopped, I mean, did we win Afghanistan? Did we win Iraq? We killed a bunch of people. They maimed a bunch of our people for life. What do we have to show for it?
Yeah, what did it change?
I mean, do you really believe, if you believe the government narrative, some guys that lived in caves who had no fucking computer capability organized some people, brought them over here, hijacked an aircraft, reprogrammed the entire computer system of the plane so that it will go against its anti-collision and anti-crash stuff, and they flew it into the Pentagon, right? Do we believe that? I don't believe that. I think we already have those weapon systems. I'm of the belief that anything they are projecting and putting in movies, they probably already have at some point. I mean, we have Oak Ridge Laboratories right now says that they have communicated with another species or another dimension of life being, right? That's what they're telling you. They're coming out and officially making that statement.
Aliens.
If they're telling you that, how long have they really been doing it? I mean, look up Stargate. If you haven't heard of Stargates, look up Stargates and look up Stargate Iraq, right? When we went into Iraq, the first things we did were hit all the museums and the historic monument sites. And we removed a lot of things from there. You'll see Scully and I talk about this on camera, and I think we're definitely of different beliefs. But just look that up and start pulling that thread and unraveling that sweater for yourself and see what you think. I believe that we already have them. How will we fight them? If we're talking like insurgency, are we the insurgents or are they the insurgents, right? Guerrilla warfare and stuff like that. Look up the Army's insurgency manual and start reading that. If you're worried, how do we fight the big bad guys, right? You have to turn off all of your electronics. That's where it starts. And until you're willing to do that, you can't ever win that fight.
That's what I was going to say. Tim Pool talks about, I think it's third generation, might be fourth generation.
Yeah, fourth generation.
It's not kinetic. It's all through the
It's
social
all
media.
it's all online.
Yeah, so
It's
like
through the internet.
They don't need to worry about people fighting if they've talked them out of it before they invaded, you know.
So Joe Rogan just did an interview with the ghost of Steve Jobs.
Really?
This really happened. Look it up. And Tim Pool they talked about it last night on Tim Pool. I listened to a little bit of it. It's AI.
Yeah.
So at what point does AI go and set up another AI to actually do things, or set up some kind of robot, right? They've got all these robots that can do tasks and shit now. At what point do they download the AI into an Android, right? Or at what point do some AI starts of me, and then the robot shows up at my house and extinguishes me and then takes over my life as though it's me, right? They know everything about you from your social media presence. So, I mean, how far are we from that, and has that already happened? Like Total Recall and stuff like that. Maybe that has happened. How would we know? Like symbiotes and...
I think we're pretty close if it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I would believe that it probably has happened.
Yeah, me too.
And cloning.
Cloning, yeah, they're already cloning fucking people.
The potato and chief is a clone.
Josh Gilming. John, what are your thoughts on Freemasonry? I have been a Freemason for over 10 years. I believe that people are afraid of what they don't understand. In the prepper world, we talk about building a community, tapping into local fraternities like the Masons, Lions, Eagles, VFW, American Legion could be a place to start. I changed my name on Google from Ephraim to Josh. I spoke to you on Live Feed last night, I'm pretty sure. Easier to pronounce. So, I don't have a problem with Freemasonry. I don't know a lot about it. To be one, ask one. You know, secret handshake. When you realize the symbology, you realize that it's everywhere. Even in this small town, we have Mason stuff in stone all over the place around here. I think there's supposed to be 35 degrees. I think at the upper level of the Masons, there's some... I think that, like any secret society, I think that it's a people with a lot of money, and they kind of make the decisions and control things behind the scenes. I think that, like everything at higher levels, there's probably some insidious shit there, but I don't know. What do I know about it? It's networking, right? I've got some friends that are Masons, I know, and they seems like their life has gotten better for them once they join the Masons. I think we could safely say that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I think everybody needs something to belong to. And it's just they chose that, and really you don't know what's on that other side until you are a Mason, right? And go up through the ranks. It's just like the Oddfellows and different lodges and things like that. I think they probably do a lot of good. Look up Illuminati. There's a ex US CIA guy that speaks a lot about the history of the Illuminati and how it ties together with Freemasons. I know a lot of the founders of the United States of America were Freemasons, as well as Illuminati. They found some messengers and stuff. A messenger on horseback got struck by lightning just by chance, and when they read the papers he was carrying, that's how the Illuminati came to be, that we speak of today. It was there, but that's how it became common household name.
I was going to bring up the Founding Fathers because I consider them to be like the most genius people that we know of in history. And they were all pretty much all of them were Masons. So, I mean, not only does it make for cool things to look into, but if they're that smart and they're part of that, there's something to it.
So, if society goes how it goes now, as we see it going, 100 years from now, who do we know that we would be called the new founding fathers, perhaps, right? Because as we speak about them, they probably felt the same way about themselves as we feel about ourselves now.
Yeah.
Right?
This is so weird because I tell the girls, like, really elementary versions of Founding Father stories because I'm into history and that's the way I can get them into it. Last night we were talking about this, and we were talking about how George Washington, they wanted to make him king. And he was like, what the fuck? We just fought a war to get away from the king.
Right.
And because we were talking about, if you want to be president, you're probably crazy. And I was like, well, you know, society is going to collapse soon, and the new society, I wouldn't mind being president of that, you know, because you can make it the right way.
And I think it should go back to states. I think,
oh yeah, for sure.
To vote, you should have to be a property owner.
That's tricky because I agree, except for you're leaving out.
Right, if you don't have generational wealth and property,
exactly.
How will you ever have property? I understand that. I get it. I don't know, man. Scott Hasten, in the spirit of Halloween, what is the craziest exploitation story with the supernatural you or Amanda have encountered?
I think he means exploration.
I like exploitation.
Of course
I
you
exploited the shit out of you on Halloween one night. You had a schoolgirl costume on, and cat ears.
I don't remember cat ears.
And a tail. How'd you have that tail connected?
I don't remember a tail either.
Go ahead. I don't have any really ghost stories. I mean, but I do have to super pee a lot. I need a piss tube put in here so I can just pee through the wall. I'll be right back. Go ahead and talk. Tell them about the burning witch.
Oh, so we, from one of our friends who is an antique dealer, we got this really cool wooden figure, and it's a carving of a witch. So in like the 1700s, 1800s, when the witch craze was going on, everybody was afraid of witches. They would put these carvings on the chimneys in the houses, and the thought was that this figurine would protect the house from the witches going down the chimney. So it's all wood. We brought it in, and weird things started to happen. You would see things out of the corner of your eyes. Doors would close on their own when there was no reason for them to close. In fact, it happened to John one time when he was on live feed. He was upstairs on live feed, probably on Facebook, and one of the doors to the rooms just like slams closed, and he was like on the other side of the room. So we had a lot of weird things like that. And then our friend Carrie took it to his house to make a cradle for it so that we could display it. And he lives in a historical home that had like slave quarters and all that stuff. And when he brought the witch back, none of that weird stuff happened. So we think that her ghost stayed at Carrie's house.
Yeah. It's a big, huge plantation house. There is some tree on the property that is registered as the largest one of those trees in the world. There's a basement under the house that has shackles and shit still there to this day. And there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in the house. It looks exactly like you think a historic haunted house looks, and it's on a big, huge, beautiful property. It's an amazing place.
He said it is 100% haunted.
The family is amazing. Like his mom is super cool. Like it's all of those family members achieve at a very, very high level, and they are all craftsmen.
That's cool. What I was going to say about that thing is, so there's where it's at, there's a lot of creepy stuff, but like you just look at it and you're like, oh, that's creepy. You know, it's intended to be creepy.
Right.
That thing, you look at it and you're like, this is creepy for a different reason. Like, you feel like it's been around when bad shit happened.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
It gives you that feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the thing that, like, I always gravitate towards it when I'm up there because it's
interesting.
Well, I get the feeling that I need to stay away from it, so I'm like always like close, like looking at it, like, why is this thing give me that feeling?
Yeah.
And then when you hear the backstory, it adds to that.
Right.
You know.
And I mean, there's plenty of things. We'll be at an antique store or a flea market or something, and he picks something up, and I'm like, yeah, that's not coming home with us. we're just gonna leave that right
That's
here.
never fucking happened because believe me, if it was that authentic, we would definitely buy it. And also on the Freemason thing, somebody sent me a Freemason's book to build a cover off of. So I actually have but 2 sizes. So we're going to do some covers specifically for those.
I thought that you weren't supposed to talk about being a Freemason unless somebody asked you about
To
it.
be one, ask one.
Yeah, so isn't he like breaking the rules by making that comment?
I don't know. If I was a Freemason, would I be allowed to tell you on this video right here?
I don't know.
Yeah, man, I'm talking about realest, one of the realest.